美国疾病控制与预防中心称，2010年公主邮轮10人死亡，800多人冠状病毒检测呈阳性时。
Dead. Over 800 test positive in coronavirus outbreaks on Princess Cruises, CDC says Ivan Burke.
米妮冯伯克25%34-5。
Minutes more than 800 people who traveled on the two ill-fated cruise ships that were quarantine tested positive for the coronavirus, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said in its weekly report.
美国疾病控制和预防中心
Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
简称
CDC.
在其每周报告中表示，2艘被隔离的冠状病毒检测呈阳性的邮轮上共有800多人乘坐。
10 of the people who had been on the ships, the Diamond Princess and the Grand Princess, have died. The CDC said in the report that people should avoid traveling on cruise ships during the coronavirus pandemic.
在船上的10个人，钻石公主和大公主已经死了。疾病防治中心在报告中说，在冠状病毒大流行期间，人们应该避免乘坐邮轮旅行。
Outbreaks of COVID-19 on cruise ships pose a risk for rapid spread of disease beyond the voyage, according to the CDC's Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report on Monday. Aggressive efforts are required to contain spread.
根据疾病预防控制中心的发病率和死亡率周报控制和预防中心周一的报告，
COVID-19.
在邮轮上的爆发造成了疾病在航程之外迅速传播的风险。我们需要采取积极措施来遏制疫情的蔓延。
Full coverage of the coronavirus outbreak.
冠状病毒爆发的全面覆盖范围。
Among the more than 3,700 passengers and crew aboard the Diamond Princess,
712
became infected with the coronavirus. The ship was put on temporary quarantine after a man who disembarked in Hong.
在钻石公主号上的3700多名乘客和船员中，有712人感染了这种冠状病毒。一名男子在香港上岸后，该船被暂时隔离。
Let our news meet your inbox. The news and stories that matters. Delivered weekday mornings. Kong was diagnosed with the virus.
孔被诊断出感染了这种病毒。
More than 60 passengers on one Grand Princess voyage stayed on the ship to embark on the second voyage. The CDC said many of the travelers from the first trip tested positive for the coronavirus and passed it to people on the second trip.
在一次大公主航行中，有60多名乘客留在船上，准备开始第二次航行。疾病预防控制中心说，许多第一次旅行的旅行者被检测出冠状病毒呈阳性，并在第二次旅行时将它传染给了人们。
A total of 78 cases were confirmed on the Grand Princess, the CDC said.
美国疾病控制和预防中心说，总共有78例病例确诊在大公主身上。
The ship was on its way back to California when it was told March 4th to anchor off the coast after people on the vessel tested positive. Passengers were able to disembark after about a week in isolation.
这艘船在返回加利福尼亚的途中，3月4日被告知在船上的人被检测出呈阳性后停泊在海岸边。经过大约1个星期的隔离，乘客们终于能够下船了。
One couple who were on the Grand Princess filed a $1 million lawsuit against the cruise line company, Princess Cruises, alleging that it exposed them to the disease.
一对在大公主号上的夫妇对邮轮公司公主邮轮公司提起了100万美元的诉讼，声称邮轮公司使他们感染了这种疾病。
Download the NBC News app for full coverage and alerts about the coronavirus outbreak.
下载全国广播公司新闻应用程序，以获得关于冠状病毒疫情的全面报道和警报。
The report also said the coronavirus was found on various surfaces and cabins on the Diamond Princess 17 days after passengers had disembarked.
报告还说，这种冠状病毒是在乘客下船17天后， 在钻石公主号船舱的各种表面上发现的。
The CDC previously said the virus could be viable on surfaces for hours to days. The agency said in its report Monday that the virus found in the cabins was before disinfection procedures had been conducted and that further study is needed.
疾病预防控制中心此前表示，这种病毒可以在表面存活小时到天。该机构在周一的报告中说，在客舱中发现的病毒是在进行消毒程序之前，需要进一步研究。
Princess Cruises said in a statement that it volunteered to preserve the cabins so the CDC and health officials in Japan could collect data for further research on the coronavirus. Japanese health officials say the virus found on surfaces in the room were not live, the cruise line company said.
公主邮轮在一份声明中说，他们是自愿保护这些木屋的，这样疾病预防控制中心和日本的卫生官员就可以收集数据，以便进一步研究这种冠状病毒。日本卫生官员说，在房间表面发现的病毒不是活的。邮轮公司说
Testing was intentionally conducted before disinfection occurred. These findings were expected because Princess Cruises voluntarily preserved these staterooms for this testing, the statement said.
发言人说，我们在消毒前有意进行化验，这些发现是预料之中的，因为公主邮轮自愿保存这些特等舱以便进行测试。
Manivan Burke is a breaking news reporter for NBC News.